Hi everyone, this is Alex, and I have with me a new Dell XPS 8950 desktop computer, which just got released around late November. So I ordered it, and supposedly it should come earlier next year, but it got here a little early. So I thought I'd share some of my first thoughts, and I guess well, we don't need to unbox it because there's literally no packaging. So I'd share some of my thoughts looking at this, and I guess we'll go ahead with upgrading our SSD. So full disclosure before I begin, I guess having worked as an engineer before in the consumer electronics industry, it does feel weird for me to actually unbox something that I sort of purchased as a consumer, because looking at it from a consumer's perspective is actually quite different from what we did when we were doing engineering and I guess solving manufacturing issues. So, I guess it'd be fun. So, contrary to I guess what a lot of people see, or what people are saying about this particular computer, when I sort of took this out of the box, I do feel that it's actually quite solidly built. I'm not really sure whether it was my particular configuration with 3080 making it a lot heavier than the base configuration. But I do feel that, while some people may say that this feels like a early 2000s design with, DVD-ROM, I do appreciate the fact that they included one, because it doesn't really look out of place. It feels like it's part of the design, and I guess, for those of us who still have DVDs, it does help, right? And the overall design, I guess, it feels very sturdy, but we might have to open it up to see whether there are some plastic components inside, and for them to sort of lower the entire weight of the of the chassis. So look at the front panel. It's a pretty standard fare with SD card reader and combo headphone jacks and 3 USB 3.2 Gen 1 ports. One has a power share function, which means you can charge your phone or tablet even when the computer's off. And looking at the side panel, you can see that there's, like the marketing material said, there's a lot of holes for airflows to go through in this generation. So I might do a video later to see whether that really helped. So looking at the back side, what's interesting is that the particular configuration that I have is an Alder Lake i7, which comes with internal graphics. So it does have a DisplayPort 1.4 that's going into the Intel UHD. And then there are a few more USB ports on the backside, which are 2 USB 3.2 Gen 1 and 2 USB 2, and then 1 Type-C port, which is USB 3.2 Gen 2 by 2. And then there's Ethernet port. All right, so I guess that's about it with the outside of this computer. So before we take off the wraps, I guess we'll try to look on the inside, right? So what's interesting about getting inside is that they actually uses a latch over here, which you have to sort of release before the side panel will pop open. So basically, you unscrew this, and then you pull it, and then you'll hear a pop, and then out goes the side panel, which makes everything sort of effortless. And then what's interesting is that they actually included a sort of like a diagram to show you how to replace certain things. So on the inside, let's see. On the inside, well, I've opted for a water-cooled solution, so that'd be interesting because, well, in my past experience, I've never seen a Dell desktop computer that uses water cooling, so that would be interesting. So I've opted for a 16 gigabyte of DDR5 memory, but I've only used a single channel memory for the moment because I do want to upgrade it later down the line, and I'm not sure whether they have 2 or 4 PCI basically RAM slots. So looking at it, there are one. So basically, there is a 2230 NVMe SSD over here. My configuration is 256 gigabyte of SSD with a 3.5 inch hard disk. So besides that, there's another M.2 SSD bay over here, so we can sort of add our SSD later on. And there is a killer Wi-Fi. There's basically an M.2 Wi-Fi card over here. So I've opted for the killer Wi-Fi configuration. So all right, wait, was it killer Wi-Fi? I'm not sure. Let me see. Yes, that's killer. But well, since Intel purchased killer, they might as well be the same. But yes. All right, so let's go ahead with installing our new RAM. No, sorry, new SSD. So, all right. So what I have right here is a 2 terabyte SSD, and I'll be installing it with a heatsink I purchased on AliExpress. So I'm not sure how. To be honest, I've always felt that having like NVMe SSDs do heat up a lot. So I've really wanted to see how far I can cool this thing, but I've never really tested it to the extent that where I know how good is, or basically how good are these NVMe SSD coolers. So all right, let's try to install the thermal paste. Yeah, this is gonna take a while, so do bear with me. Well, one thing to note with the Dell's desktop is that they don't seem to have a heatsink for the included NVMe SSD, which I take it means that it doesn't impact all that much in terms of their engineering specifications, but that's something I really don't have an opinion or know about. As long as it works, as long as it doesn't throttle, I'm fine. Right? Okay. So I'd probably use the thicker one. All right. And before you guys said anything, so I know a lot of people will literally face spawn at me not using an anti-static strap while I'm installing components, but that's something I've never done in my years as an engineer, and up till this point I haven't broken any component, so that's just one of the things about me. I might yes, it's not a good habit, but up till now I'm still pretty lucky, so I'm still trying to see what my luck holds. All right, so you basically unscrew the screw here, and then you can install, well, I would say, in my opinion, installing things like this, pre-formatting your additional drive is a good idea, but in the interest of time, already pre-formatted it, so there shouldn't be an issue. Okay, so let's screw it back together. Screw it back in, and then we should be good to go. And one thing that's probably noted when you look at the manual, so I've learned to look at the manuals. Like all the manuals are actually online right now. Look at the service manual before you make a purchase to see whether, for example, whether parts are serviceable to make your before you make your purchase decisions. Because sometimes manufacturers, basically these OEMs, they will make design decisions that either may allow serviceability or not. And it's just something that happens. Okay, I know the community sort of feels like everything should be upgradable, but as an engineer, I'll say that given some of the features that we're seeing these days, sometimes a conscious decision is to make things that's not as serviceable as it was before. So I guess basically looking at the service manual before you make a purchase and to decide on whether it's something you want is always a good idea. So enough said. So basically, this is a proprietary motherboard for sure because it comes in a weirder form factor, which I guess Gamers Nexus did talk about before, is that their front panel, the motherboard actually extended well into the front panel, so which means that you can't really swap it in for a new motherboard, that kind of thing. But if you are purchasing it for a 3080, well, I guess that's another story, right? But if you're using this, if you're purchasing this with the thought that you might want to swap in a new motherboard, I don't think this is something you might want to do then, because of the proprietary motherboard shape. And then there seems to be another drive bay here that you can upgrade in the future. So in terms of fans, but besides this water-cooled CPU cooler, there is one that you guys can't see right now, which I'll try to show you, is that there is actually another fan in front. So basically you got one fan over here and then another one basically that comes out of the water-cooled CPU cooler. And with the 3080 down here, it has basically a support bracket that holds it up. And as for the power supply, it's all using the 750 watt power supply, but I'm not sure. Let me see. So apparently it comes in a very proprietary form factor as well, because as you can see, it's a much lowered height, but it's not showing which manufacturer is making it. It's probably one of those suppliers that makes power supplies for OEMs, but I haven't seen one of their labels yet. It's probably another bracket, but at this point, I'm interested. I'm curious to know, but I'm not that curious to sort of pull everything apart yet. So all right. So when that's done, we can put the panel back together. So it seems pretty straightforward, just by sort of getting the hook in and then sort of just pulling, just pressing everything, just pressing it in will get you all set in terms of sort of basically installing the side panel. And then you screw the security screw back in, and then everything is all set. All right, so yes. And I guess this needs no reminding, as PC enthusiasts, you basically need to peel all of these apart before you start using it, because it might impact your overall cooling and airflow. I mean, you do see that there's they sort of laser cut it away, some of these things at the front, just so that you don't purchase a computer and then didn't pull this apart, and then the entire inside of this tower became like a toaster oven. But it does happen. But I do have bad memories of other YouTubers doing an open box on one of my projects, and then when they're pulling back the peels caught onto something, and then it basically killed off the device I was designing. So so I've had bad experiences with customers basically pulling these peels off with such a force that it actually broke something on the computer. Yeah, that wasn't a good memory. But anyways, so after peeling this back, this sort of completes our unboxing. So I'll probably share some time SPI scores and I guess firm arcs in the coming days, just to show what kind of performance this particular desktop can get to. But do stay tuned for that. But if I don't upload anything, I guess this is the first time